Hey guys. So today we are going to do an AoCF tutorial guide that I've been planning to do now since we just have some new information on how to find frame data and hitboxes. So there are a couple things you're gonna need before we start. Let me check real quick. There we go. So the first things you're gonna need is Notepad++. You can use Notepad by the normal Notepad, but I like Notepad++ because you can customize it. The next thing you're gonna need is MathFreak's guide and Squirrel Code site. So MathFreak made a guide explaining all the frame data. So we're gonna get through this in just a second, or maybe more. But essentially he explained how to get the frame data. There was a method that I used before, but I didn't understand it, and then MathFreak explained exactly how he did it. So we'll get to that in a minute. Next thing we're going to need is, so this is his guide. The next thing we're going to need is his GitHub. So he also created a GitHub for the scroll code for AoCF. Essentially, you could extract this whole information, and I'll show you just a minute how to do it. You can extract all this information, and then you would get all these nut files. So the reason this is a little bit more complicated than just going in and modding it ourselves is that the code that it uses is a scroll code. And the problem with a scroll code is that it is not a typical C++ or Java or anything like that. It's actually way too hybrid. It has a combination of different types of languages, and so it makes it really hard to do any modding, because you'd have to learn a new code, and just to mod this game, it's not worth modding it or even trying to fix it. So you're going to need his website. There's a he has two of them. He has the 1.10D or version 1.10D. This is the official version, but in the Discord that I'm in, we are currently using 1.19 beta 4. And the reason we're using this is because it's updated a lot of the problems we had on the official one. Since the official one is completely has discontinued any updates, the head of the programmer, I believe Unabara, did a questionnaire asking what are some of the things that you guys want to get fixed, and we gave a lot of feedback as to what we want to be fixed. And so he created beta almost a year after he made that tweet. So if you want to know about 1.10D, you can do that. I'll show you how to do it in just a minute. So the first thing you're going to want to need is to unpack the pack files. So let's go ahead and go. What the heck is it? Let's go ahead and go to the AoCF folder. Ignore some of this stuff. Okay, so your AoCF folder will not look like this. Your AoCF folder will look a little bit more smaller. If you don't have the beta, then it's gonna look just without the beta. Essentially, the two key things that we're gonna need, or at least just the key thing here that we're going to mostly need, is the pack files. So there are 3 different pack files in the AoCF folder. If you pick one of these 3, you'll get a different type of pack, or a different type of version. So to run it down real quick, th155.pack, this will give you the 1.00 version. So this is like the first revision. This is like the full source, not source, the full 1.0. So this is unpatched. This is the first one. Then th155b.pack. This is the updated. So this is the one that keeps getting updated. If you don't have this, or if you delete it by accident, you will always come back to the 1.0 version. But this one is always going to be updated. And right now, the most official updated version is 1.10d. Now, the next one, if you don't have the beta installed, you will not be able to find this. But if you have the beta installed already, and again, we use the most updated version, which is beta 4, 1.19 beta 4. So I'm going to be using this one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy it, and I'm going to take it to my this one, to my 135TK. Now you can Google this up and look for it on GitHub. But one of the things I found that most people complained about whenever they try to do this extraction, not this extraction, but the extraction of or trying to find the zip file for this, is that they would extract it, they would come in here, and then most of the people would tell them, okay, now type in read_path.exe. And the problem is that if you didn't download the actual the 13.5TK, the one that we're using, you are not going, the one that you might download is going to be named 13TK_master. And if you get the master, you got the wrong one. So what I would highly recommend is that you join our Discord server. And I might put it in the description below to put the mega file. But for the time being, go to our Discord server on AoCF, and then go to the wiki page, and I've pinned a lot of things that are going to be very important for what we're about to do. So let's go ahead and get started with the 13.5TK. So this is what we're going to be using most of the time. We're going to be here quite a few times, so if you ever get lost or anything happens, come back right here. This is going to be our like our main folder that we're going to be using a lot. So let's get started with first unpacking the files, because what we want right now is we want to get the unpacking of all the characters and all the information that's inside the game. So let's go ahead and paste what we just copied, which is the pack file right here. And then the first thing we want to do, there's multiple ways to do this. If you know how to get the command prompt to link up to this folder, then go ahead and do that. But to anyone who doesn't understand what I just said right now, go ahead and go up right here. So on this PC, that's this right here. If you click on any of the empty spots around this bar right here, you'll be able to type something in here. Okay, what you want to type in are 3 letters: CMD. CMD is the command, those 3 letters are for the command prompt. So if you go into your Windows and then you do CMD, it'll tell you a command prompt. If you type this in if you just type this in normally into your search bar, it'll give you the command prompt. But what we don't want is for it to be linked up into our this folder. So again, if you know how to link up, so go to this PC, desktop, so link up to this folder, this specific folder, then go ahead and do that. But I personally didn't understand how to do it, how to link it up, and so they gave me a very quick tip, which is just CMD up on the top, and there you go. And now you know this is linked up because it says right here. So it says that it's on desktop, AoCF tutorial, 13.5TK, 13.5TK. Alrighty, so we are in the actual folder right now, and anything we type in here will use this one right here. So the first thing we want to do is unpack the beta files. So we are going to be using 2 commands. For the first command, we are going to unpack the pack files, which are right here. The way to unpack this pack file is by using this command right here. So go ahead and type in th145 I've been told you don't have to type in the .exe, but I like to type it in just to be extra sure. So go ahead and type in th145.exe space, and then so let's go ahead and just press enter right here. Because if I keep going, you might be confused as to why I type what I type. th145 arc.exe. I am smart. Okay, so it's going to tell you right here. Archiver for Touhou 14.5 ULO and Touhou 15 AoCF by BR Liron. I think that's how you pronounce it. Based on the archiver for Touhou 13.5 by Riorter. I don't know. I can't pronounce this. Okay, the usage of this. So the usage is that you're going to type in the command th145 arc.exe, and then it's going to tell you what are some of the things, and then the target. So what it's saying is one of the examples that you can use is a th14.5 arc /x to this pack, and it explains to you right here, will extract all files in th145.pack to th14.5. The other command is going to be /p, which will pack. So the X stands for extract, and the P stands for pack. So now that we understand what those mean, we can go ahead and type in the following code, or the following line. th145 arc.exe space, and then since we are unpacking the beta, we're going to go ahead and use th155 underscore beta dot pack. And then we type this in. Oh, I didn't do the /x because we are going to extract th15 underscore beta dot pack. And there we go. So it said it just extracted the file. Extract finish. So let's go ahead and refresh. Set to finish very, very quickly. So what I'm checking right now is that it's supposed to give us a folder right now, but it's not. And I was told by some people the same thing. They were telling me that they couldn't. I said, we did the command, but I can't seem to get the folder. Oh, no. Let me go ahead and grab, check. Yeah, because these are all the beta related stuff. Let me go ahead and copy this. Jesus Christ. There we go. Alrighty, I'm not exactly sure what happened. But it worked. Alrighty. I believe I could, let me check it. X for extract, th15b underscore beta dot pack. Oh, there we go. I don't know, I guess it would just wanted its own little time. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. I mean, they're exactly the same. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep moving. I probably skipped most of what just happened. Just a lot of troubleshooting and figuring out what happened. Okay, so we went ahead and typed in the right code. So let's go ahead and click this, because this is all the sources and folder, or not, it's essentially the source file, but it's mostly just all the textures. So you can't see these right now because they are in .pmp. There's a different Touhou extracting that allows you to switch these to viewable pictures. But for the time being, and mostly because I've already gotten them fixed, and it's just much more easier to download, and instead of extracting and doing it the way that I did it, we're gonna go ahead and ignore all this. So these are mostly all the textures, but they don't matter. So let's go ahead and go into data. So again, if you have this folder already, congratulations. Then we go to data. Then we go to actor, because so the way this folder is set up is that actors are the characters, backgrounds are the background elements such as characters and a bunch of textures for the background. BMG is the background music. Effects are all most of the effects for, I believe. Okay, so a couple of effects such as, you know, particles, etc. Events, I believe, are for story mode. Most of the time, there's not much to it. There's also the script in here, so events are mostly for story mode and just all the things that need to happen in the background or like moving things. The font is here as well, but you really can't see it, and it doesn't matter anyway. The scripts for the code, SE for sound effects. So these are all the sound effects, although they are completely scrambled. So this isn't the full extraction. Then we have the spells, which are also named here. We have the story, which are mostly all the spells already written down. Systems are for things like for the main menu, just the UI, a bunch of things over here. And then we have the win for, not winning, but I believe for the Windows system. I can't fully remember. But that's not what the point of this video is. The point of it is going to actor and then to choose a character. So if you already saw in the beginning, I have the custom.zip file. The reason I'm using this is because this is essentially the character that most people have annoyances with, and also it's the it's the character that Math Freak used in his guide as an example. So let's go ahead and go to custom, and because we only extracted this much, we're going to go ahead and use the path file. So let's go ahead and now that I remember, the reason why we have these amounts of information, why we have all this right here, is because we only extracted the beta information, and the beta information has only the updated information that that the normal the official version doesn't have. So what I did was I just combined and replaced most of the updated stuff into the official. So that's how I have basically this whole data. So I have all the data for all the characters because I extracted all the things. But again, you don't have to do a double run and then like combine them into one. That's just for something else, for another time, and whenever you want to do it, if you like to. Just for this purpose, we are going to go ahead and again, we're going to the data, we're going to the actors, we're going to the character cousin. That's the example that we're using, and I'm going to be copying this. I'm going to copy cousin.pat the pat. And we're going to go back up here up to the top again. So we're going to place it right here. We're going to paste it. Give me a quick second. Alrighty, so we're going to be extracting this path file. Now, it's a little bit confusing, but it's not really. If you understand the process of what we're doing, then it won't be too confusing. So if you remember again, we have the command prompt right here, the one that we use to extract this pack file. Well, in this exact same place, in this exact same command prompt, there is a .exe that also extracts the path files. So there's two different types of EXEs. There's the one that extracts the pack files, and there's one that extracts the pat files. So what we're going to be extracting is the constant, and you can do this. So this example that I'm setting, you can do it for any of them. The values are going to be the exact same place. Well, most of the values are going to be in the exact same place. Most of the information is going to be in the exact same place. So basically, you can follow along and try whatever character you want, such as Ichiri, Mamazao, and Yukari. Right now, I'm only doing melees. In the future, if you have any more questions about bullets and anything like that, I believe we can go ahead and attempt it, and even you can do it at your own pace. I would gladly ask for you to paste it or paste the information into the wiki channel. That way, you can show off, or in the AoCF discussion to show off what we have, because any information for AoCF is great. So back to what we were talking about. So to extract the pat files, we're going to be using the read underscore pat.exe if you want to. And I believe if we type this in right here, it'll say that the usage is going to be file.pat and then file.json. So what it's essentially saying is that we are going to be using this this command, and then we're going to be locating the pat file that we want to extract, so which is going to be the calcin.pat file, and then it says right here in brackets that it's going to be file.json. And essentially what that means is that you can name it whatever you want. You can name it that, or you can name it something else. I am doing extraction for different types. So I have the 1.10c version, or D, and I have the beta versions. So I want to look at the beta ones, and I'm organizing by doing underscore beta, and not the pack. I want a .json. That's the other thing. I believe Notepad can use .json. But for the main part, I like to use Notepad++ for JSON and anything else for Notepad. So let's go ahead and do this, and we're going to get a crap ton of numbers. Now, all of this is the frame data. So all of this information right here, all of this information that's being seen on the CMD is all the frame data. This includes everything from hitboxes, hurtboxes, hitstun, blockstun, and every other thing that you can think of. So we're not going to be scrolling up. Instead, all this information has already been presented to us into a .json. So all that information that you just saw scrolling by and flying by, it's already been done here. Now, one more thing, a little tip that someone said is that you can do this code. There you go. And it essentially just, I believe it essentially just takes down all the time that you need to extract all that, and it'll just, what's it called, print it out right here very quickly. So now that we have our pat files extracted, we're going to go ahead and use this, this file right here. So let me go ahead and clean up a little bit, because it just opened up in my other monitor real quick. Okay, so we have the Notepad++, and this is what I like about it. You can customize the background. I like more dark mode, if you couldn't tell already. So we are going to be using Notepad++, and the first thing that we're going to notice is that all the information is already here, so that's cool. But where is the information for the things that we want? So for this example, I'm going to be using Cosmic J5A, as I stated in the beginning. So from here, we're going to be looking for the frame data. The frame data gives us both how long a frame is and how long a what's it called? How many frames and how many times do the sprites get used? Where's the hitbox, hurtbox, collision box? So what's the information of the what's it called, of the hits done, etc, etc, etc. So the first thing to note is that I'm not just going to be scrolling all the way down or looking for things. I'm going to be using Control F a lot. So we're going to be using we're going to be finding a lot of the things because they are already in this file somewhere in the code, but we don't want to be scrolling around. So at this point, if you already have the the MathFreak guide for the frame data, go ahead and follow this if you'd like to. If at any point you'd like to come back and try to find where you're stuck at, then go ahead and follow along with what I'm doing. So he first states that let's say I want to know everything there is to know about cos J5A. Where do I start? So he first says that we have to extract the path files, which we've already done, and we'll do it into a .json file. Okay, now let's look at the squirrel code script of cosin.nut. So this is where we go into his GitHub page, and we're going to be looking for cosin.nut. The reason we are going there is because that's where, well, not just cosin.nut, but the reason we're going into this one is because this is where all the information for cosin is. So he says, now look at the squirrel script here. Control F to find attack underscore mid underscore air. So how do we know this is the mid-air attack, aka a J5A? The reason we know this is because in the textures, we can actually see that the name of the attack, ignore some of this stuff. So let's say like this is untouched. So this one is called ATK underscore mid underscore air. So this is essentially the attack middle air, and the only attack that's done in the middle of the air is a jumping neutral attack button, or a J5A. So okay, that's another one I open. Cool. Okay, so this is exactly why he stated right here to look for ATK underscore midair. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do Control F ATK underscore mid underscore air. Now, if you don't want to do J5A, let's say for instance you want to do 8A, you want to do far 5A, far 5A, or F5A. You want to do J2A, maybe you want to do some other move. Well, I've noted I've noted all the melee ones, such as 6XA, 6XB, 5A, 6A, 8A, 2A, you know, all the melee ones. I've noted them in the wiki, and I've also pinned it. And I believe I did. I didn't. Okay, so I'll go ahead and pin it by the time you see this. And they are all the codes for all the attacks already linked up to what they are assigned to. So like it says right here, we're going to be looking for the J5A. He says right now we want to observe the set motion method at the start to see which sequence we're looking for. The first number is the animation ID, and the second is the take number. Starts from 0. We're looking for the first take of animation 1110. So what does he mean by this? So if we go to the function right here, there's a couple things right here, like this label and then nothing in it clear. This hit reset, this attack ID. So most people would have assumed this is the actual ID, but that's not true. This attack ID, I'm not exactly sure what it is, and for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to look into this combo function equals this rush air. So this actually explains what this move can be used into. So this combo function is going to be used up in this rush air. So it'll be looking into a command called rush share. Rush share is the dials. Dials are just moves that gets to be spam. So it's like auto combos. So then the next one, which is the one he's mentioning, is this dot set motion parentheses 1110 comma 0 and parentheses semicolon. So what this means, and he stated right here, is animation ID, and then the second number is the take number. So the take number is, as someone noted, the take number is essentially like a sequence. So we go ahead and look for the animation ID, and then it's going to be used in the first take. So at this point, I actually like to do Notepad, so normal Notepad, and just write down all the information being taken right now. So for now, I'm going to do constant J5A, and then J5A is 1110. So I know this is the animation attack, and I'm going to be using this number in a minute, or in just a couple seconds. So what he says is open the generated JSON on the pad file in any text editor, do a search quotation mark UNK1 end quotation marks colon 1110. So this is what you want to copy. If you want to do it manually, just copy this number, go to your Notepad or plus, sorry. And then type in exactly what he said, UN1 quotation colon, and then you just paste the number that he says. Now what we are trying to do is we're trying to locate the animation ID that it says. If we do enter right now, it'll take a couple seconds. Boom, it'll only give us this one. If you type anything, if you keep trying to find it, it'll tell you this is the only one. So you know for certain this is the exact starting animation of constant J5A. So let's go ahead and go into our WordPad. I'm gonna go ahead and close these ones just so we don't get distracted. Yes, okay. So what we're going to be doing is just exactly how he said, MathFix guy says. The way the code takes a sequence is that it uses the first take as 0. And now one way to always come back to the number or to this location, instead of having to do this, instead of memorizing this number, what I like to memorize is this number right here. So if I always remember that the first take of J5A is 209, then I know anything after this will be on this take. Now what do I mean by take? I mean that it'll be a sequence. So it says frame here, but the frame in this context is not the exact same frame that we're accustomed to. So when it says frame_1, it essentially means it's going to be using the sprite. 209 is going to be using this code right here. So let's go back to what he's explaining right here. This is the start of constant J5A's animation. It contains data for each individual frame of animation. The breakdown of the relevant properties is unknown. One is the duration of frames. So what he's saying is that he's not talking about this one. This is the animation ID. So he's not talking about this. What he's talking about is on this frame_1. The first unknown is going to be the duration of frames. The next one after, so unknown 2, are frame variables like damage, hit stun, knockback. So this is where all the information that you might need for more minute details, such as blocks stun, maybe blocks stun. We're not 100% sure. That's actually something we're still looking into. So I don't want to say something that's fake. So this is where, like he says, damage, hit stun, knockback. So this is all the information. Now it says 0000 because this is the first animation of it. So if at any point you do J5A and you get hit on this point, there is nothing to say about it. But This is just the first frame of that animation, which lingers for 3 frames. So this first frame, aka the first sprite, the first picture, is going to be holding out for 3 in-game frames. So because we're doing 60 frames per second, it's going to be staying for 3 in-game frames. So if you remember correctly, nope, not that. If you remember correctly, this cousin, because this is where the cousin starts, this cousin picture stays in place, or not in place, stays lingering for 3 frames. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, and then it'll move on to the next picture. That's what this 3 explains. So let's go ahead and write this down. Now the reason why why this matters so much is because we are going to be using whatever frames are lingering, and we're going to add them up to come out with the information that we need. So unknown 3 are frame flags. These bits are toggled on and off. So you can go ahead and read the rest of this. I'm just going to go ahead and speed up a little bit. So the frame sub entry 1_1 is the sprite's collision box. So what does he talk about? This right here, after unknown 4, the sub entry 1_1, these are the information for hitbox, hurtbox, and collision. As he states right there, this first one, 1_1, is the sprite's collision box. So right here, this is the collision box information. All this right here, so everything from here to here, that is all the collision box information. So then the next thing he says is that frames underscore sub entry 1_2 is sprite's hurtbox. So this right here is all the information for the hurtbox. So this is where all the hurtboxes will be, all the information for it will be right here. The next one after that is frames sub entry 1_3. So now we have 3 sub entries. These 3 sub entries are going to be very important in the future. Maybe not this one. This one doesn't really matter too much. But these 2 are going to matter a lot. So don't forget the name of these, because these 2 are what we're going to be using in the future. So I have detailed the meanings of some of the variables and flags here, as we kind of don't worry about that. Reading each individual frame, frame 1 constantly can be counterhit. So in this first frame, oops, skipped a little bit. In this first frame, it can be counterhit. So I guess this is what 0000 means, counterhit. Or I guess it's because of, what is it? It's unknown 3. Yeah, unknown 3 are the frame flags, etc, etc, etc. Okay, so what we're going to write down, at least for this context, is that I'm going to go ahead and write down all the frames for just this take, or this sequence. So for this first frame of this first sequence, it lingers for 3 frames. The frame after that, so frame 2, lingers for another 3 frames, or another 3 frames in game. So it also gives us all the information for the collision, the hurtbox, and then this is a hitbox. So this hitbox is going to stay 0 because there are no hitboxes. So we're going to go ahead and ignore this for the time being. So then frame 3 is another 3 frames that linger. And again, collision, hurt, hit, nothing there yet. And then it says NB layer 1. This is where we're going to find the information of the text, the textures. So essentially this is all the texture information right here, but we're not going to get to it right now. So to tell you, they're going to always create element 1, 2, and 3 because they're always going to align to the frames that we have. So we have frame 1, 2, and 3. They're going to create matrices for element 1, 2, and 3. These are always going to be linked to the frames that they belong to. So you can't get confused with element 2 as frame 1 or element 2 as frame 3. Element 2 belongs to frame 2. That is this information. That's just a little bit of a sneak peek of what we're about to do. Okay, so in Mathflix Guide, he says, then we start to see some weird mysteries that we don't care about. We don't care about because he doesn't understand what it was at first, but we do now. This is the end of this take. a major portion of an animation. We keep scrolling and we see this 210. The fact that this unknown one of this take is this weird random number. The extracting doesn't know that this is a -1, so it wrote down all the information of this. We know this is -1 because of the I believe it's the hex, but since we know that it's this long number, -1, it means it doesn't have an animation ID, which can only mean that it's the next take of the previous animation. It's the continuation. So we know this is the second frame or the second animation of J5A. So this is the second sequence in the code that it created, or that it got coded. Look back at the scroll script. Every time we finish a take, we check the key action table to see what we do. The first function in this table plays a sound effect. So if we checked over here, function display SE. So if you remember, SE equals sound effect. Okay. So this is the first frame with a hitbox. Okay. So how do we know this is the first frame with a hitbox? Because if you remember, this is frame_1. So I'm going to go ahead and write it down real quick. Again, this is T1. This is the first take, and this is on the 210. Not sequence, but just number. I'm not exactly sure what to call. So our first frame lingers for 3 frames, and just like he says, it has a hitbox. How do we know? Because there's information for 1_3. So what I like to do is do this. I like to put 1_3 right beside the frame that has the information for hitbox, because again, just like I said up here, frame sub-binary 1_1 is collision, hurtbox, and hitbox. The reason why we didn't care about it in the beginning, so all the way up here, as you can see, it's already highlighted. It had no information. It said, nope, there's no information right here. So now that we're in the first frame of the if we are in the first frames of the active hitbox, we have information. Okay, congratulations. Now that we have information, we can go ahead and keep checking what the information says. So it says right here, so you can keep reading right here. So just to speed this up a little bit more, I'm going to go ahead and just I believe it wasn't even 3 frames. I'm going to go ahead and write down all the frames that we require. So 6 frames, and then if we check right here, it has information. So 1_3. And the next frame, 6 frames. This 6 frames has no information, so we don't do anything there. Then the next one is going to be 5 frames that linger. And then we go into the layer. Again, he says we don't care about this, so we don't care about it right now. Then we get to the next take, so take 2, and this is into 11. And then it goes back again into frame 1. It goes 5 frames that linger. Then we go up, and then it says right here that it's done. If the way you can tell that you only are supposed to have 1 frame, or however many frames we have, is by this n_frame. So n_frame just tells you how many frames there are in this take. So if you see right here, let me climb up a little bit. So right here it says that we have 4 frames on this take, and then we check, we sure have 4 frames on this take. And then if I went up there, it's going to tell you that there's 3 frames on this take. So if you want to know how many frames are in one take, you can always just check right here, n_frame. Alrighty. So we already have that information for that one. Got it. So now if we keep going, we're going to get to this one right here. Now we know this is not a continuation of the last one because it is a whole number compared to a jumbled mass, the 4, 2, whatever he said it was, which is supposed to signify -1. So now that we know that we're seeing this number right here on the unknown from here, we know this is not part of the J5A. This is a separate thing. This is a new thing from Kasen, or this is a different animation that we don't care about right now. So let's go ahead and try to remember this right here. We don't have to memorize. We just have to understand what this means right here. So he said, what about land canceling? We know so he explains a little bit more. So in his summary, he says, he has it wrong actually, but in his summary, well, a little bit wrong. In his summary, he explains that there's a 9 frame startup, 9 active frames, and 11 frames of recovery. So how did he get that information? He got it by just adding up these ones. So if you remember correctly, the active hitbox right here is how long the what's it called, the hitbox lasts. So if there's information, it will hit. If there's information, it will hit. If there's no information, it will not hit. So we know that these ones before that are going to not hit, which is a definition of startup. Startup, if I can type it. And now we just add up what this startup is, which is 3 plus 3 plus 3, which is 9 frames. So we know the startup is 9 frames. Now again, like I said, this is the active, so we know that this is 9 frames active because 3 plus 6 is 9. So the active is 9 frames. And now he says that the recovery is going to be 11 frames. So it's going to be 6 plus 5. But the reason I don't say that the recovery is that is because and the reason he says it is because the information, actually, give me a second. No, there's actually one more take that I didn't write down. T3, which is 212, and then it says frame 1 is another 5 frame. Okay, so the recovery frames for this one is, as he stated, 11. But if you do the math right here, 6 plus 5 is 11, plus 5 is 16, plus 5 is 21 frames. So where did he miss those other 10 frames? So the way that he explained to me, we don't need this right now. So the way he explained to me, Jesus Christ, the way he explained to me this is that essentially the game, or sorry, the code right here says that you can cancel the, what's it called, you can cancel this, you can cancel J5A on end to free move. End to free move essentially means this move can now be cancelled at this point. So if we check right here, it's going to be take 0. So right here it is going to be take 0, take 1, take 2, take 3. So if we check take 3, your end to free move. If I remember correctly, he explained that you can move after this, I believe take 2, or either take 1. So essentially you are free to move 10 frames before the actual full recovery of the move. So we have the frame data. So this is how you get the frame data. By looking at the code, looking at the unknown whatever animation ID you looked for. Then we just look at all the frames, how long they last, and then if you ever find any information for sub entry 1_3, then you absolutely know that's a hitbox. Then, now that you have that, you keep going, and then whenever you note down that it has no hitbox, that's going to be the recovery. So that's the end of the frame data. Okay, congratulations, you have framed it. So give me one quick second to get another drink of water. Alrighty, so the next step after this is doing Hitbox and Hurtbox, join them. So let's go ahead and go to 210. So this is why I like to write down that. The reason why I like to write it down is because I immediately can go to the take that I need to go to. So to make the hitbox or hurtbox for any character that has melee, and I believe even bullets, you want to find, for the hitbox, you want to find the move or the frame that has hitbox. So all of these right here will never give you any information for the hitbox. All these right here will only give you the information for hurtbox and collision. So if you do want to draw some hurtboxes for these moves right here, or for J5A's sprites, then by all means go ahead. Just go to subentry_2 and you will get the hurtbox. It's right here. As soon as you understand how to get it, actually. But if all you want is just a hurtbox, it's right there, subentry1_2. So how do we find the hitbox? Because that's what most of us want to understand. Why is this move this big? Why is that move that big? Why can't I do this and why can they do that? Or how come I got hit from here and not from there? Or how come I got hit from this position but not from there? Or, you know, weird stuff that happened in AoCF. So we absolutely know that this is this take, so we don't need to worry about anything else but just this area, because again, every take is done by another whole set of numbers. So 209, 210, 211. So if we ever go past 211, or if we ever see 211 there, we know we've skipped a take and that we are now into this one right here. So let's go ahead and gather some data. The first thing I want to let you guys know is that these takes, like I know, not these takes, these frames are linked to the elements. So like I said before, the way you know which elements or which frame aligns with which elements is literally just 1 equals 1. So this this take right here, the frame of this element is aligned to this right there. So this information right here will always go with this one right here. And then the second one for this one, the third one for this one, and the fourth one for this one. So why do we care about the matrices? The matrices actually tells us one very important information for now, and that's the name. So what does the name have to do with this? So now that we're done with Matchfreak's guide, we're going to actually be using Fear's picture. So this is going to look like a complete mess at the beginning. When I first saw this, I was completely confused and I didn't 100% understand. So let's go ahead and try to understand all that's going on right here. So one by one, we're going to try to figure out what all these lines signify and what do they do. So we are right now at the information of knowing what the frame data is. I'm going to go ahead and move this right here. So we just want to know the hitbox, and that's going to be frame 1. So we go to element 1. How do we know what picture to look for? So the thing you want to see right here, or to at least check, is that Vestio, when he was showing me all the frame data and I didn't understand it, he said you can find the information of that texture or of that picture, and you can find it by looking up first the name and then this element name. So quotation marks ELEM_8. You're going to do -1 and it'll take you to and then you do -1, so it's going to give you ELEM_7. But get that number 7 and then do quotation mark name and quotation mark colon space 7, and it'll take you to this matrix, and then this matrix will give you all the information. Or well, at the time he thought it was going to be all the information, but what we're doing now is that we are going to go backwards. So instead of looking for the name, we're going to be using this name to look for the texture. Because again, this matrix is aligned to this hitbox. So if we can find the active hitbox first before we find a texture, we know what the texture is. So we 100% definitely know that this name is going to be aligned to the texture. So let's go ahead and do that. So again, it's going to be the opposite. So Vastio told me to do -1. So we're going to do quotation marks ELEM underscore 250, because again 249 plus 1 is going to be 250. If we type this in right now, boom, it'll take us immediately to this location. So I'm going to go ahead and do a I'm going to do a clone to other view, so that way I have two different pages. So for this left side, I'm going to keep it with this element information, and this right side, I'm going to go ahead and do the name, which is 249. Again, it's -1, which takes us to this matrix. So this right here immediately tells us which picture or which texture it uses. It uses attack underscore mid underscore air 0003. So now we know exactly which texture it uses. How? From the matrix all the way to the here. I don't want to repeat myself. So where's this picture? Where do we get it? So if you remember, or I guess not remember, one of the things that I told you to get prepared for was to have cousin.zip. Just for this example, if you're doing your own character, then go ahead and grab the character that I already dumped into the wiki, and go ahead and unzip this. So extract all. And what this is all the pictures of cousin. Oop, I'm sorry. These are all the pictures of cousin right here. Essentially, my initial plan was to explain how to extract everything, but because the users try some of the I guess I want to say friends, some of the people who were curious about it, I guess is the right word, were like, okay, I can't understand how to do the extracting or the converting of these into pictures. So they said, can you just give me the folder and just dump it in there? I was like, okay, sure. And then I thought to myself, well, instead of just doing that, why don't I just give everyone for every character? So I essentially done all these pictures are already converted. You don't have to do it for any of them. And I even gave you some information right here for what I'm about to do. I actually forgot to delete them, but it's even better because what I'm about to do, it's already in here. And these are all the finished versions. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to remember why we're here. We're here because the texture that this code says is going to be ATK underscore mid underscore air 003. So if you look for it, for cousin at least in the beginning, it's right here. ATK mid air 0003. So this is where you're going to need a photo editing program. I like to use Photoshop. I'm not a master of it, but at least for what my intentions are for right now, I'm going to be using it. So the one thing you can do is, since we have the picture already, you can go ahead and go to properties and go to details and then create a dimensions of 256 by 192 if you'd like to. If not, what I like to do for every single one of the characters or every single one of the hitboxes or hurtboxes that I'm doing recently is I just go into open open, and then it'll ask you open what, and we're going to be opening the picture that has already been created for us, which is the ATK mid air 003. If we do this right now, boom, don't touch anything. I guess you can zoom. but don't move this picture, don't drag it anywhere, leave it as is. Essentially, we are going to be using the pixels, which I believe is going to be layers. Go ahead and Google if you ever need any of the picture grids or pixel grids. But I'm going to be using the pixel grid a lot. So if you need to find out how to get it for Photoshop or for whatever photo editing software you're using, go ahead and look for it. But we're going to be doing a lot of pixel counting. Not really. Okay, so now that you got your photo editing program, here, I'm going to go ahead and give it another more second. I'm going to go ahead and drink water. Okay, now that you're back and ready, let's go ahead and check out what we have to do. So this is the part where I was a little confused and I had to try to understand what I was looking at. So what we are given information for are X, Y, W, H, the X, the Y, the width, and the height, and the same thing over here. And then we are given information over here in the matrix, which is just a complete mess, right? It's just a bunch of numbers. Well, if we check on Fear's picture, back again with Fear's picture, we can actually check something that we kind of got into. So remember, we've gone from the name to the element, so that way we know which picture it is. For Fear, he did stand. The first thing we're going to be doing is right here it says X is 5, and if we check the red line, so if we follow the red line, I saw this red line and I was like, what does this red line mean? Okay, if I can see what it means, or what I'm seeing from right here, this red line signifies how far it is from the left border of the picture all the way to the sprites, or to where at least it says. So it doesn't have to be the sprite exactly, but the game or the coders or developers put how many pixels it is from the left to what they need. Essentially, what this information right here is the X and Y, because if you've already seen this blue one, this information is all about cropping. So what we're going to be using is we're going to be cropping the picture to what is basically necessary. So I'm going to go ahead and use this box right here. The shortcut from now on, I'm going to be using U. And then I'm going to be using a no stroke and a fill. I'm going to be using red. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to be using this information, not this specific information, but just the information that we need. The information that's given right here with all these lines are explained to what they signify, but the values can change, and we kind of don't care what the values are because the values are going to be character specific. So what I'm going to be doing for simplicity's sakes is I'm going to type right here cosine J5A. So J5A is element, or I guess not here, not specifically right here. It's going to be element underscore, and then what this one says is underscore 250. Now why did I type it in there? Because we know that this frames is linked to this picture, and if we ever need to come back and check what the picture is, we can always remember that it's element 250. And the other reason is because if we keep going down, we can see that it changes sometimes. And if we know, if we do the same thing that we've done, so like right here, this is name 249. Well, this next one is going to be element, so ELEM, sorry, underscore 251. Because again, we just add 1 and then we find the element number right here. So this element name is going to be linked into this frame. So let's go ahead and grab some of the information from Fierce patch, or not Fierce patch, Fierce information. So J5A, this X signifies cropping left area, which for Sukuna standing is going to be 5, but for Kazen's J5A it's going to be 13. Then the Y, following the blue line, the Y signifies cropping top area, and then that's for Kazen is 20. So now let's go ahead and do this real quick. So again, checking right here what I just wrote down, the left area is going to be 13 pixels cropped out to the left, and then the Y area is going to be 20 pixels cropped out to the top. So let's go ahead and do 13 pixels to the right from the border. So again, this is the border right here. This is the edge of the picture. Going to be doing 13 pixels to the right. So see right there, 13 pixels. And what I would like to mostly do, just because we're starting, is I'm going to go ahead and press this right here, which is the path selection tool. This essentially allows us to grab any of the points. So see right there, we can grab some of the points and do some fancy fun stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and click this right here. Now you know you have the path selection because you have this white kind of hollow mouse. So compared to this one right here, which is black, and compared to the path selection tool, which is black. So you're going to go ahead and use the direct. One way I like to do switching back and forth is by doing control, or I believe just control. If you hold control and then you select the paths that you want, so these 2 points, it'll stick to this white. So the moment you choose the paths that you want, it'll stick to that until you switch again with control. So I'm going to go ahead and just stretch it all the way right here. And that's with Photoshop. Obviously, if you're using a different software that's not Photoshop, then it doesn't matter. Okay, so that was this whole left area. So according to the devs, this whole area, and then this one's going to be M, and I'm going to only be using A. So this is going to be the shortcut A, and this M is going to be the masking, which is essentially just that. It's just a highlighter, and this highlighter gives some information. So essentially this whole information right here is completely useless to them. So they cropped out this left area for 13 pixels. So they cropped out this left area for 13 pixels, and now they also cropped out this these 20 top pixels. So these pixels right here up top are completely useless. And then the height is going to be what we're going to be looking for. So this height is 20. Boom. This whole area right here is completely useless to the devs, according to them. Okay, so according to the devs, anything that's not red at this moment is not usable or is not being used in the game. So this whole sprite right here, and then we can actually go a little bit more in depth. Essentially, let me check. What's this right here? The width and the height explains what's it called? The width and the height explains the actual, like, how far and how high it is inside of it. So if you actually check right here, the game really wants to be super specific as to how far it is and how high it is. So if we want it to be extra sure that we got all the information correct and that we don't have it wrong and that I don't type in the wrong thing, the width of it is the actual sprite length, and that is 216, and then the height is the actual sprite, I guess I shouldn't say length, width, and then this is the actual sprite height, and that is 116 for this this picture right here, this sprite. So if we wanted to, we can draw a width of 216. I'm gonna go ahead and do it just for this example. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a new layer, so that way when I change this fill, it doesn't change this layer's fill. And then I'm gonna go ahead and grab this right here, and it said it's going to be 216. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a box that is 2/15 long. So right here, 15. Okay. Is that the right pixel? I sure was. Okay. So if you want to be 1000% sure, you can also create a new box. I'm gonna go ahead and change that to red again. Essentially, the game's dev said we don't care about this right area either. Boom. So the game's dev said screw this area as well. I don't care about this area either. So we know how far and how long this this width is. About 90% of the time, or sorry, 99% of the time, it's going to be at the edge of this what's called of this sprite's length, or not length, width. I know my words. So see how it touches the last pixel of it? Well, there you go. So now what we're going to get, just to be extra sure again, it's going to be the height, which is 116. So again, from the unused area that that they gave us, this whole thing is 116 high in pixels. So 116, and I'm going to go ahead and change this again to yellow. No, I don't want to create a new one. Okay. So now we know 1000% sure that this area right here, right there, right again. There you go. We 100% sure now that this area right there is not being used. Okay. So this is what it should look like right now. It should look like, well, maybe this is a little bit long, but it should be looking like this, where you have this red area that is completely not being used, and you know this is what's going to be used right here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of these yellow lines for the time being. We don't need these yellow lines because it's going to get a little confusing. You can just hide them. Don't delete them. Just hide them. I don't recommend to delete any layers that you create, because you can always just come back and try to verify that all the information you got from this game is 100% correct. You might have made it one pixel too far, too long, or something like that, and you don't 100% know. So now we know the exact length of this texture right here, midair attack 03. So what is the next thing that we need to do? Because now that we know the boundaries of it, now that we know the cropping, what is the next step? Well, the next step from here, that I took it at least, is that I was going to go to the Hurtbox already. Because again, subentry 1_2 is the Hurtbox. But how do we know where to create the Hurtbox? Where in the game does it tell it, okay, be this far, this long, this much? Where does it tell us? Like, how does it know where to create it, and where should we start creating it? So what I noticed was that there's this matrix right here. This matrix has this line right here, and it shows that it's going down to the center, and it shows as well right here down to the center. And I was like, hold on, are you telling me this matrix that we looked up the name for is actually telling us the exact center? And yes, that is actually true. This matrix right here tells us where the center is. but it's not the entire matrix, rather just 3 0 and 3 1. So just two numbers can tell us exactly the center of that picture. But it uses, as stated right here, it uses only the cropping area to the center. So essentially, I'm going to go ahead and write this down right here. Essentially, the matrix 3 0 equals left cropped area to center. So this left cropped area, not the left border, because that would be confusing. The left cropped area, the usable area that the devs made. This left cropped area to the center, The matrix right here for Sukuna at least is going to be 47 pixels. So they're going to create a 47 pixels all the way to the center. For Kasen, which is what we're doing, it's going to be 49. Now, there's going to be negatives. So for the negatives, I mostly just ignore them. But essentially, the negatives are, at least in this matrix, negatives is right, positives is left. But there hasn't been a single moment that I've seen it go to the left. It always goes to the right, so it's always going to be negative. But let's go ahead and do 49.5. Now, the problem with it is that 0.5 doesn't exist in pixels. There is no photo editing software that I know that does a 0.5 pixel. There could be, and there might be a method. I don't know it, and it doesn't 100% matter to me. All I need to know is that the matrix is going to be, and I'm going to go ahead and round down. I'm going to round down and not round up, because if you round down, you get the, you get the floor of that number. If you round up, you get the ceiling. So I want to get the minimum amount of hitbox or whatever we're going to be doing, instead of getting the maximum. Now, if we do the maximum, it's going to be big by just 1 pixel, and if we're going to do minimum, which is what I'm doing, rounding down, it's going to give us 1 pixel off to the left and 1 pixel off to the right if you do the maximum. So I essentially just ignore the 0.5 and just round down to 49. Then we do matrix 3 1 equals the top, because if we looked over here, this matrix 3 1 shows us that this goes from the center of the top area that's cropped all the way to the center. Top cropped area to the center. And then the same thing with the minus and plus. It's going to do minus for down, so it's going from right here down, and plus for up. And then for this one, the matrix says it is 76.5. So 76.5. We don't care about the 0.5, so it's 76. So let's go ahead and create this right here. I like to use 2 different blues. So I like to use cyan. Oh, okay, keep forgetting to get this. I like to use cyan for the left cropped. And again, that left cropped area is 49. So let's go ahead and grab this right here and do a 49 width box right here. Then I'm going to go ahead and create another rectangle. This rectangle is going to be the top area, which is 76. So let's go ahead and create there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and create a top area of this, which is 76 pixels high. There we go. The width doesn't really matter, honestly. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to align these pixels, these rectangles to be at the exact center. So that would mean this exact corner right here, this exact pixel right here, that is the literal center of this whole entire thing. So we found the exact center that we're going to be creating all our boxes. That is what this picture means. These lines, that's what this means. That's where the center is being created. So now that we got done with the matrix, now we can start creating our boxes. Now that we know where we're creating our boxes, we're going to go ahead and create the box that is being told to us, which is, for this one, is going to be the Hurtbox. But what we want to know, and at least for this one, it's going to be the Hitbox. So again, remember, we're looking at element underscore 2, which is assigned to the name 251. So that's for element 2. 4875. Okay, so I gave you the wrong number for the wrong frame. So because we're using this one, which is going to be 250. It's not too much. It's going to be 48 instead of 49. So we're going to go ahead and give it 48. And then this is 75 instead of 76. So just 1 pixel short. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and move this to the right. No. Move it to the right. Okay. And 1 up. 1 pixel up. And I'm going to go ahead and move this 1 pixel up. There we go. Okay, so this is the extra center. Sorry, for just this picture. And again, the matrix gives us 0.5, all these weird numbers. And I don't care about that. Honestly, I really don't care about that. Like I said, I'm just going to do rounding down. So this is going to be 48 negative 75. So 48 and 75. Okay. And that's the center. Okay. So what's next? The Hitbox and Hurtbox. Well, if we look at the picture that Fear gave us, Fear said that this unknown 2 is this length, or I guess this width, and unknown 3 is this height. This is where I was stumped for a good while, because I was like, what does these mean? How do I know this right here? Where do I create this? The other thing I got stumped with was this times 2. I was like, what does that mean? What does times 2 mean? Well, times 2 means that it is going to be multiplied by 2, because we are creating a box. Again, remember, we're going to be creating a box from the center. These values are actually divided by 2. So this is from frame subentry 1_2, which is going to be in subentry _1 or 1_3. We're using 3 because this is the hitbox for frame 1. There we go. Frame 1. Okay. So frame 1, on frame 1, active hitbox 1, and here it is, 3 right there, 210. This is all the information for how to create the boxes and where it goes. So the way that Fear stated that in 1_3, the subentry 1_3, unknown 1 is unused. Unknown 2 is the width. Unknown 3 is the height. Unknown 4 is the x offset. Positive to the right, negative to the left. Unknown 5 is y offset. Positive, positive down, and negative up. And then unknown 6, no clue. I don't believe he actually noted it, or if he did, I don't use it. because it's not needed for what we need it. If that makes sense. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and create our boxes. This box right here for frame symmetry 1, it says that we are going to be creating a box that's 27 pixels long. So the width is going to be 27 and the height is going to be 36. So let's go ahead and create a box. The first hitbox. So I'm going to do a hitbox, which I will do with a rectangle. And I'm going to get rid of the fill and I'm going to make a stroke. This stroke is going to be red because red equals hit. So let's go ahead and do what it says, which is 27 left, 36 up. So it's going to be 27 length, 27 pixels, 36 up. There we go. 27 width, 36 height. Let's check again. Yep, there you go. And there's your hitbox. Not. This is only half of it, because again, we have to multiply by 2. So we're going to be doing the bottom as well, 36 height. There we go. And then it's going to be 20, what is it again? 27. It's going to be 27 to the right as well. 5, 28. So I'm just going to move it 1 pixel to the left. And there you go. That is a hitbox right there. Created from the center. Because there is also information saying that it is offsetted. So this right here tells you how what the actual location is. So if we write it down, the offset, the x offset is 80 to the right, because again it's positive, and negative 28 down. Negative 28 is just 28 up, because again negative's up, positive is down. Alrighty then, so let's go ahead and do this. We're going to move this hitbox right here. I'm going to move this hitbox right here, 80 to the right, 28 up. So it's going to be, I'm going to go ahead and move this, 80 to the right, so 80 there, 80 to the right, and then it was 28 up, so 28 up, and 80 to the right. Man, I already forgot. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just move this so I can always look at it. So 80 to the right, 28 up. There we go. And congratulations, there's the hitbox, right? No. So one of the things I did when I was first showing this was that, look guys, I created a hitbox, and everybody went after me. What are you talking about? That can't be the hitbox. That's just too small. That's not enough. And I was like, what are they talking about? That is a hitbox. That's what the code says. But what someone noted was, wait a minute. There's more than one hitbox. There's more than one child. So this child actually signifies how many boxes there is. So that was just the first box. That was just the first box of the hitbox. So then we go right here and it tells you more information about the second hitbox. So right there, that was this whole thing right here is the first box. So this is box 1. We have to do a second one. So box 2, going to be doing again the same thing, and I'm going to go ahead and skip out what unknown 1 is. It's going to be 27 width, 36 height, 37 offset, and going up by 18. So let's go ahead and create this box right here. 27, 36. So I'm going to go ahead and create that 2738. So it's going to be 27 to the left, 38 up. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and make this 38 down. Let me check real quick. It was 36. And I like to use the highlight, well, not exactly highlight, but this pixel counter right here, and it tells me exactly how it is as long as it's aligned. So this says it's going to be 26, but it was 27. I can't make it 27, I don't know why. 2736. Does it align? 2736, there you go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. I'm going to go ahead and select these points, and it's going to be 36 down. So 36 down. And this is going to be moved 27 to the right. And again, it doesn't want to give me 27 precisely, so there we go. Okay. And then it's going to be offsetted 37 to the right and 18 up. So let's go ahead and do this. 27 to the right. So 27 to the right and 18 up. There we go. Now it looks a little bit more like a hitbox, right? Now there's 2 boxes. Alright, let's go ahead and keep going with the third one. This third one right here. So this one says that the third box, box 3, is going to be 22 width, 25 height, 122 to the right, and 39 up. So if you can't guess what this is going to go right around this area. But we don't want to just make one right there. We want the exact coded pixels that it's giving us. So let's go ahead and create what it says. It is, I'm going to go ahead and move this to the right so I can see it on my other monitor. It's going to be 22, 25. So 22, 25. There we go, 22, 25. I'm going to go ahead and get this 25 pixels high. I'm going to get this 27 right here. I can't do it exactly, so I'm just going to make it down a little bit. I don't know exactly why it does that. And then, again, I'm going to move this box. I'm going to move this box 122 to the right. So around there. And there we go. 39 up. Wow, that's pretty close. Alrighty. Ooh. I think I saw it like that. Let me go ahead and be 100% sure that it is. So 122 to the right. Okay. So it's going to be 39. Okay, so it's going to be 1, 2. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is your hitbox. So if I just get rid of all this right here, except for that one, what we have just created is the hitbox right there. This is your hitbox. It's crazy, but that's actually the hitbox. And when I first saw this, I was completely baffled at the actual hitbox. But, and I'm not going to do this right now because it's actually kind of getting late, at least for this tutorial and for me. Now that you know all the information about all the values, you can do for every coded animation or her textures. As long as you have the picture, the attack that it says, as long as you know the exact cropping size, so again, this right here, as long as you know the matrix, so the center of it, and as long as you know what you're looking for, so if it's either the hitbox or the hurtbox or the collision box, as long as you know this information, you have the power to create the hitbox itself. Now, since you know this information, you are 100% free to draw whichever move you want. If you haven't already seen, I've done all of them for Kasen. I even have a video of it. I made an animation creating all the hurtboxes and all the hurtboxes and all the hitboxes, which is right here, done in real time. Well, in real time by 60 frames per second. See, boop. So this is the hurtbox right there, and this is the hitbox right there. So this is essentially right here. All you need the information right here. I guess the only other thing I would have to do is that I had someone suggest, well, I'm not on my PC, so I guess I can't help. And the one thing I can only say is, no, you can help. I'm not sure if there's any applications that actually open up .json, but I'm gonna go ahead and dump in all the beta information from the patch files into a website, or either to let them download or for them to view them, like maybe Google Doc or something like that. I'll think about it. Though, if they're on their phone, they can go ahead and write down all the frame data information. Then once they have the frame data information, so once they have all this frame data information, the takes, the frames, the startup, the active, the recovery, you don't have to actually tell me all this information. As long as you just tell me startup, active, recovery, and you say I have verified from the code, or somebody else can verify themselves, then I'll 100% take your word for it, and I can go ahead and update the wiki. I can go ahead and update the wiki and just put it in there. Somebody told me that the startup for Doremi J5A is 10 frame startup, active for 12 frames, and the recovery, they didn't do the recovery, but essentially if you just tell me this information right here from the code that you read, which again is just knowing this frame right here and how long it stays out for, and then getting the information for the hitbox right here, that is all the information I need to update the wiki way much more faster than me doing it by myself. And if you'd like to do for the fun of it, try to draw this right here. That makes it so much better for everyone to visualize what they're looking at. So for Carson, we can now visualize what this picture is. And this one's the wrong. So like now we can visualize this right here. Now we know exactly how broken it is, or how not broken it is. See? But I believe I have it, this whole information right here. So there's the hurtbox right there. Oh, that's a different one. Because I'm going the wrong way. So there's the original. There's my edited with the hurtboxes. Original, edited with hurtbox. So right there. Edited, original, boom, hitbox right there. And I did a bunch of editing right there. There's a hitbox. Then boom, there's the other hitbox for the next one. And then according to the game, it used the exact same picture but just got rid of the hitbox and kept the hurtbox exactly the same. And then boom, we're going to recovery mode. So this is the hurtbox for this character, or this move. Boom, this is the next hurtbox, and we're done. That's all of J5A, and that's how I got the animation. So with that being said, I believe that is all the information for frame data. There's a bunch more modding. There's a couple other things that you can do. Just check the wiki, check the AoCF mod page, and you can always ask me, Son of God 1998. You can ask Math Freak, and I think his name is actually, it is Math Freak. Math Freak 231. You can ask for Fear. He did he did this, and if it wasn't for Fear to find this out, I wouldn't know where to be. I wouldn't know what to do. But Fear, that's his username on Discord, and on the servers. Fear is the one who found this out. MathFreak is the one who did the tutorial, so that way I can understand what I'm doing. And all I did was just combine their both powers to do photo editing. And so far we've been finding a bunch of janky stuff that everyone has been hating. And now there's an actual reason and some way to fight it back. So with that being said, I believe this is going to be where I finish off the video. So thanks again very much for checking this video out. If you have any issues, any problems, go ahead and drop it in the comments. You can DM me, you can ping me on Wiki, and whenever I have time, I can go ahead and answer. If I don't answer, but it's a question that either Math Freak or Fear or another user, Table, Kazriel, and Zeph, they actually also, I've showed them roughly how to do this. So if you're watching, nice. So this is the guide, just basically where all the information for all the things that you need. If you ever need to come back here. If you ever need help, go ask. Simple, stupid, random questions. I'm up for anything. But yes, that is all the information for the Hitbox Hurtbox and frame data. If you can help out with frame data, I'll be 1000% happy. Any help can make this go faster. And again, that's just for melee. If you want to find for bullets, for whatever, I would suggest just trying to find the animation for whatever you find, whatever you're trying to find. So there's cousin, should be shot. This cousin shot. You can try to look for the texture file. Which would be like the tiger. So like if I try to look for tiger. So right there, see the tiger mask. That's for, as I said right there, that's for the battle beginning. So begin battle. SP shot A. So these are all the things that you could help out as well with bullets, spells, with a lot of different things, and any help that you guys can give out to us and AoCF, such as modding, such as cracking more or understanding more of this game, can make this game a lot more better. We're attempting to do a community patch. So far we've already got a Netplay patch, which allows us to connect to players higher than 120 ping, because vanilla AoCF, the official, without mods, you can only play locally, like 60 ping or below. Otherwise the game would go at slowdown, but you don't even get the slowdown anyway, because anything higher than 120 ping will crash the game. It'll give you a black screen effect or a black screen bug, and if you get the black screen bug, it will freeze the host from ever joining and will not let the opponent connect to you. So someone modded to get that out of the way, and recently we've just learned that you can actually use delayed based netcode instead of slowdown based netcode. The same Fear that just did this, looked into the code and was like, hey, you know, they actually had a delay based netcode in there. It's just that they were so messy with what they did that it just didn't work, and it did a slowdown instead of the delayed based netcode. So in the end, if you want to play games that are higher than 120 ping or international or just delayed, it is Tom's Netplay or Netplay patch, which is Lunarcast. This is where you get Tom's Netplay. It'll be for the Discord, AoCF Finding Games. You want to download these, follow the instructions. This can also be done standalone. So I used to need Touhou Community Patch Reliant, but after much complaints of I don't want to use THCAP, it's too confusing. Tom, the creator, or at least the one who made this public, said, okay, let's make it let's make it standalone. And so he did. So again, if you want to play with more people than just yourself, or want to get the beta, there's our Discord, there's the users, there's a bunch of information on the wiki. There's so much information about this game that we don't even have all of it. Any information that you can give us, again, I'm sorry I have to repeat myself, but I just want to make sure that everybody understands that. Please help us. So that's going to be the end of it. I hope you guys get the frame, hitbox, and all the information about the character you want, or the type of attack that you want. Go ahead and post the pictures on the wiki channel. I would like to see them because it makes me happy that people are understanding more. It makes me happy that people are also checking out more on this game. So please share. That's gonna be it for me. I do a tournament. I do speedruns. Stick around and you'll see some things that you might like. Otherwise, thanks for coming along, and I hope to see you on an updated tutorial or on Discord. You guys have a good night.